I was 13, I bought my first car, and I drove it up and down the alley of my house, and I just got the love for it right there and started.
We painted my first car in here, and it was just an absolute horror. It was terrible. I was embarrassed by it, but I didn't give up. And I got another car a year later and painted that, and that one came out pretty good.
Just grew up in it. I understood what was going on where a lot of people didn't, so I just kind of took a fancy to it and kept it up all through high school and college.
You try to find cars that need a little bit of work. The ones that, not just the classics, but the ones just need a little bit of work, come back, do a little bit of repairs to them and sell them and turn it over pretty quick. Started this business in about 1979, 80. A friend of mine got out of the military. We started it up in Grandview and started working on old cars and just basically started right there, and we've been doing it ever since. Well, basically I asked the guy if he wanted to sell this Corvette, and he said yes, and I went over to take a look at it, and I noticed it had big grooves all around it, like somebody had scraped it with a knife, and his wife caught him coming out of a bar with another gal, so she took a knife to the Corvette, scarred it up all over the place. He didn't want it anymore after that, so I bought it, fixed it up.
But I'd say the most interesting cars that I've worked on were Studebakers and Porsches. Studebakers were way ahead of their time. It had trim down the sides, a little narrow band, and any old cars like that I had seen, those bands were like just a solid bar. But the Porsches, they're interesting too because of the metal that they use. If your dad has ever yelled at you, don't sit on the car, if he had a Porsche and you sat on the car, he probably wouldn't even yell. You wouldn't even be here now, because those cars, the metal on there, you can do you don't need a hammer to do the body work. You can do it with your fist. So I built a rig, and all my friends and all the other guys, there's a lot of Mustangers around town, and they thought I was nuts until they saw what I did and they saw it work. And since then, there's people that sell these things. They call them rotisseries. It's just a little post mounted on a tripod legs, and you know, you mount some things at the front and rear of the car, and you hook it on this support, you know, and it, you know, it's an axle basically, and you can flip the body so you can work on it comfortably by standing there or whatever. Flip it on its side or flip it totally upside down. I had one old guy almost tear up. It was another old Studebaker I did. It was a nicest old guy. He was in his 80s, and this was a car he had wanted since he was like a kid. It was a 1938 Studebaker, and I painted it black. And when he saw it, and I said, "Don't cry now. I haven't even polished it out for you. You know, it's just wait. You haven't seen anything yet," because there was little lint and stuff, you know, and the orange peel on the clear. But once you give it to them and you hand it to them, and you see, they forget all about the checks that went out those weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's worth it in the end to these guys. And these guys are friends of mine for life, you know. They come around here and always want to come in and see what's going on, and you know, just treat them right, and you know, that's, so I'd say giving them the finished product, or when they start seeing it really come into shape, that's the best part of the whole deal.
If I was interested in buying a place and I said, well, I couldn't make a down payment on a glass of water. We were in school and no money, and everything was paid for, but I didn't have any money. And so they went to the bank and borrowed more money than I ever dreamt, and we started making payments, and about a month later my brother joined me, and so we've been in the foreign car salvage business ever since 1968. But I found an old Austin Healey one time. I brought it home, and my son thought I was crazy because it really looked bad, and he couldn't believe that I was gonna get it fixed up. And today I've taken it everywhere, and it gets first and second in all the shows, and it's really fun to drive, and it's really pretty fast. This is a 1956. It was made in August of '55. Austin Healey 100M. It's called a Le Mans because Healey pulled, I think, 640 is the right figure of these cars off the line and modified them. This being a Le Mans car, it was designed after the ones they raced at Le Mans. It's just a really fun car to drive. I'm really proud of it. I think that the guy that designed the car is still alive, named Jerry Coker, and he really deserves all the credit just because I cleaned it up and slicked it up a little bit. I don't think it makes me anything special, but Jerry was sure a fine fella, and he designed a lot of different cars. This particular car, I've never had it running as fast as it'll go, but we did have it with a radar gun at 107 miles an hour in the quarter down at the shootout in Chanute, so it will fly. I really enjoy driving it. I did some racing, but they didn't know about it. We had a 409 Chevy 61 or 2 Chevrolet with Super Sport with a 4-speed and dual fours. We used to go in my dad's salvage yard and take all the wheels and tires we could get off of junk cars out there and put them in the trunk, and go down to the drag strip and take the good tires off the back and put these rags on the back, and we spot the motorcycles a couple car lengths, and we could just eat them alive. This is a 1960 Austin Healey Sprite, often referred to as a bug eye. In England they called it a frog eye. My wife, who doesn't really like to drive stick shift cars, really likes to drive this one because they're just a blast to drive. They're quick and just handle like you wouldn't believe. And this one's got a later model Sprite engine in it. It's a 1275 cc versus a 948. I got a ticket for one time for 130 some odd miles an hour over on 92 highway across from Leavenworth. I was supposed to meet a train, and I forgot all about it. I had mail sacks to deliver, and I made it, but not until the highway patrolman had caught me at the depot. I come home from work, and instead of watching TV, I do this. That's why I think they ought to take TVs and pitch them. Nobody gets anything done. They play their video games, don't accomplish anything.